A new Conservative government that will protect taxpayers, get things built, bring home our jobs so we can stand up to the Americans from a position of strength for a change. Production to bring the jobs home to this country so we can stand up to the Americans from a position of strength. Over.
Canadian workers, they're interested in Canadian security, and so we will be negotiating from a position of strength with the Americans. Thank you.
Well, today you're talking about a Made in Canada procurement strategy. You're also talking about negotiating with the United States.
Yes.
So are you willing to negotiate away your Made in Canada strategy in order to retain access to U.S. defense markets?
Again, thank you.
Members of the Liberal War Room, so the Central Campaign, distributed Stop the Steal buttons at a Conservative event. Given the anti-democratic implications of this phrase, how much does this event undermine the trust in the way that the Liberals operate, and what have you done in response to these revelations?
Thanks for the question. Look, this is totally unacceptable, to be absolutely clear. And I, on behalf of my campaign, I was unaware of this behavior, but on behalf of my campaign, I apologize for it unreservedly. Okay. I've made it absolutely clear to my campaign that this behavior or anything approximating it or in that spirit is unacceptable, cannot happen again.
Pierre Poilievre announced today he would use the notwithstanding clause to push through his tough-on-crime agenda. Is there any case you'd invoke the clause to override the Charter?
I think this is a very dangerous step. We have a Charter of rights and fundamental freedoms in this country, and it's the responsibility, in my view, of the Prime Minister, of the Government of Canada to defend that Charter, those fundamental rights and responsibilities and liberties that Canadians enjoy. The politicizing certain issues with respect to fundamental rights is a slippery slope that leads to further politicization. And I understand if I was correctly briefed, it won't surprise you, I didn't watch Mr. Poilievre's press conference, but if I was correctly briefed, that it relates to issues of heinous crimes and murders. You know, being tough on crime and being tough starts with being smart on crime. And it includes being tough on guns and gun violence. And I note that, with regret, that Mr. Poilievre has voted against every single gun control measure during his very long career as a career politician and member of the House of Commons. I think it's over 200 times. So we're focused on results. We've just tightened those gun measures with announcements which I think you saw a few days ago. We'll continue to do so. But we will defend the charter rights of Canadians on principle because it's the right thing to do. As you say, I've followed all the rules. I've followed them in advance. I've disposed of my assets before I became Prime Minister. And have a blind trust. I have conflict of interest screens. I work only for the people of Canada. I work only for the people of Canada. Je travaille seulement pour des Canadiens et des Canadiennes. And my only assets now are cash and personal property, which means a house and cottage.
Montreal Gazette. Last night on Tout le monde en parle, you mentioned that for Justin Trudeau, the economy wasn't a main priority. Could you elaborate on what you meant by that and how you plan to differ?
Yeah. Of course, I'm speaking in relative terms, but I stand by what I said. I'll give you a few examples. You know, over the course of the last 10 years, the pace of government spending, particularly operational expenditures, rose by an average of 9% a year. 9% year after year after year. That's about twice the rate of growth of the economy. The level of government support for industry and business investment and housing and other factors will be considerable. You'll see when we release our detailed platform, our une plateforme chiffrée. So we are focused on a government that spends less so that Canada can invest more. that we can invest more in defense, we can invest more in new trade corridors, we invest more in energy, clean and conventional, we can invest more in building new houses, all of those things. And we're going to use government to catalyze those investments. We're also going to have the better tax system, better regulation, all those other factors. I got into this race because I felt we needed to focus on the economy almost without fail, and rebalance that focus. So address the housing crisis, the cost of living crisis, the productivity challenge, and now, of course, what has come with that is this great economic crisis, tariff crisis that the Americans have brought on us. So, in a sense, relative to the years of the previous government, these are big, big changes. These are not small changes. These are not changes in words. These are enormous economic changes, and they're exactly what's necessary to give ourselves far more than the Americans can take away, to build a stronger, confident Canada, to build a Canada that can lead, to build on innovation and strength, to build on, I mean, look around, the expertise that is literally embodied by the workers here at Bombardier. That's the focus. It is a big change. A big change. Merci.
Well,
We'll have
today
time.
you're talking about a made in Canada procurement strategy. You're also talking about negotiating with the United States.
Yes.
So are you willing to negotiate away your made in Canada strategy in order to retain access to U.S. defense markets?
So, okay, so again, thank you for the question. So let me give an example specifically, if I may draw on the situation here. So what's happening, and it's a very fluid trading situation, as you know, with the United States. But certain exemptions, for example, under the, I will call them the fentanyl tariffs, the unjustified fentanyl tariffs, are for what are called CUSMA compliant trade. Okay, so if you have certain thresholds of production, I'm explaining for broadly, I think you know this, but for a production here in Canada and with other CUSMA partners, and you can verify that, then you're not subject to those fentanyl tariffs. That is an opportunity on which we can build in terms of the upcoming negotiation. And that's an opportunity that will integrate a Made in America and a Made in Canada defense procurement approach. But last point, if I may, which maybe should have been my first point. When you go into a negotiation, you have to know where you stand. You have to know what you want. You have to be strong. You have to be clear. That's why we're setting out these policies. They're in the interests of Canada. They're the interests of Canadian workers. They're in the interest of Canadian security. And so we will be negotiating from a position of strength with the Americans. Thank you.